We live?
We live.
All right, welcome to Around the Metaverse, our weekly show where we bring together the best content creators from the blockchain and NFT gaming community to talk about the recent news and give you our thoughts on the industry. My name's Adam, and I'll be your host today. And I'm joined by our usual cast of characters. You might remember him from last week. We got Zueljin from Zueljin Gaming, Jake from On-Chain Gaming, we got Cagyjan, and then last but certainly not least, Crypto Stash, the man himself. And you know, we got a jam-packed show for you guys today, so we're going to jump right in. But before we do that, if you're watching, go ahead and smash that like button. That just goes to show the YouTube algorithm that, you know, you guys like what we're bringing you, and, you know, you want to see more of it, and that you love blockchain and NFT gaming. So got a couple topics. We got a couple topics to go over today, as you see at the bottom. The first being decentralized versus centralized. And this is a little bit of a speculator right here, but we've seen a lot of different blockchain games come out recently, some of which have kind of been more DAO focused and community driven, others that are kind of more focused around a centralized game studio. I'm going to cite Light Night, for example, as one that's kind of made by Satoshi Games. You know, it is run more or less on the Bitcoin Lightning Network, and it doesn't really have a lot of I guess community sway on how the game works and how the Lightning Network is incorporated into the game. And in contrast to that, we have something like Illuvium, where, you know, the entire game is built on, you know, the concept that the DAO is going to kind of take control of it and kind of guide the game in the direction that it's going to go once it's up and running. So my question to you guys is, do you think that we're going to see better quality games come from studios that are more centralized, or do you think it's better when like the game project focuses on the community and maybe sets up a DAO to let people run? Jake, what are your thoughts on that?
Okay, the most important thing, I think, whether or not it's starting centralized and then going decentralized, or whether it's like starting decentralized, or if it's planning on staying centralized the whole time, the most important thing is that the team is committed and has the ability to actually carry out their vision. And I think the team is the most important thing. But then after that, obviously, if it's a team that wants to create something beautiful and then give it to the community, like, I feel like that's the best thing. Now, if a project starts decentralized, it's really difficult. I think projects need to start centralized. You need to have people with the power to make the decisions and actually create their vision. And once the vision is created, I think that's when we can have a discussion about decentralization. Starting something as a DAO, it just seems really difficult to me. Yeah, there's just almost too many cooks in the kitchen. How do you make something compelling? How do you really bring a single person's vision to fruition and make a beautiful game? So yeah, I think starting centralized is the way, but the team, no matter what way you're going, the team behind it is the most important thing.
I agree.
No, I don't. Oh, go ahead, Caggy.
Yeah, I agree with Jake. It has to start, in my opinion, centralized, because there's too many aspects to a game. It's not like a DeFi project that, you know, it's kind of like there's one goal, but in games you have the art, you have the tokenomics, you have so many aspects to a game that it's like, how do you decentralize all these decisions? You really can't. You really can't. I mean, you could. It's just way harder, right?
Yeah,
you could, but it's just way harder. I think
a really good example for how decentralized games are going to look is looking at corporate America, the way the companies function. You have a CEO that's making all the executive decisions. And even though you have sometimes millions of shareholders that all have ownership stake in the company, and there's certain things that they vote on, the everyday operations are done by that core team, by the CEO making the decisions, by the CIO making sure all the finances are working out, and they're making their game plan. And even though like the community can own the project, the community cannot make every daily decision. It's just not going to work.
Yeah, I agree. Anybody?
What do you think, Zueljin?
I agree too. Getting to the point to where people that know what they're doing can make executive decisions and make things happen a little bit more efficiently. I think as creators, we've all talked to developers about projects before. And for me, there's a lot of guidelines in, okay, what are we trying to do as far as video production is concerned? Like they know much, much, much more about the project. But at the same time, I feel like when we're talking about putting a video together, I might not know as much about the project, but I know a lot about what it takes to make a video and what it takes to make it watchable. Sometimes it has to do with entertainment, and a lot of these guys that are good with code are just not the most, camera blessed people. They don't have these abilities to just make people love it. Not that this face can earn that kind of money or anything, but you know what I mean.
This face does.
Some people are good. Yeah, Stash has that face.
The mustache, the money.
It comes down to like what you're good at, and a bunch of people that want different things in a game feature. Like we all have the things that we love about games. If we tried to focus energy on getting those things done, that's selfish, right? And if there's enough people that's rallied together, you could probably make some things that'll break an economy just because you like them,
That's true.
No, and I mean, that's a good point you guys all bring up. This, we're always trying to, I think the best course of action is always to move towards as much decentralization as you possibly can. Now, that's incredibly hard to do from the get-go for sure. But I also think that, we're in a very early stage of finding out what works with these game economies and what works within gaming and how it changes that paradigm. As much as I understand the analogy that Jake made about, corporate America, blah, blah, you have your stakeholders and they want to see certain things done and they have some sort of voting rights. Then you have a kind of core team who's really making the day-to-day. I think you definitely need that. I don't know if there's a way that you can truly get away from that, but I think the more elements that you can find a way to kind of decentralize and give your community a stake in, a say in, I think it makes more sense. And you're right, they may take the game in a direction you may never have thought of or a direction you may not like. And I think that also comes down to that like level of control. These game makers need they've been so used to having so much control over every aspect of the game that I think that a lot of times, we're looking to have this paradigm kind of shift where, you have kind of a core ideal of how the game is going to be and what it's going to be and how it's going to function, and let the community kind of be the ones who decide where it's going to go and where the story may go or where, economic things may go to a certain extent. Obviously, you don't want to give them full reign, but I think that you definitely want to move towards that as quickly as possible, because I think that is one of the unique elements of, a blockchain-based game or a game that has decentral elements. If you can't get there, then screw it, man. Why not? Why just have a fully centralized game? And who cares about NFTs? Who cares about blockchain or the things being provably rare?
What are we doing any of this for?
Yeah, exactly. What are we doing any of this for if you can't get there?
What really
that's something that I would agree with you on too. And I think like one thing that I'm kind of worried about is, once, and we're already seeing that blockchain and NFT gaming is taking off and kind of attracting some of the mainstream attention from, some of the big game developers out there today. Do you think that like they're going to have a really tough time kind of letting go of their IP, like tokenizing their IP and really giving the community, true ownership over it, and even maybe the ability to kind of have some kind of sway on the game? I kind of think that they're going to have a tough time with that.
Yeah. I agree with that. I agree. We've seen it already. I mean, we've seen like Axie Infinity started like letting you do things with axes at the beginning, and then once they saw the game is kind of blowing up, they started putting parameters around how much can you make using your actual axie, right? They give you the right to do whatever you want until a certain threshold. So yeah, games will have a tough time there because money's involved. There's a lot of hard work too that they put in, so they might change their mindset. They're like, damn, but wait, we fucking put a lot of work here. And this one Axie is making $10 million out of merch drop. I agree with giving them a little bit of the pie. Now, restricting it 100%, I don't agree with it, right? So
yeah.
I think the important thing is that the plan is in place even from the beginning to eventually decentralize. And if the tokenomics are set up in the right way, like Star Atlas, for example, it is set up very centralized at the beginning, but it's already in the roadmap from day one how it's going to eventually reach the point of decentralization. And to your point of whether or not these companies are going to want to give up a game after it becomes successful, it's like if it wasn't a part of their initial plan, then of course not. After it blows up and they're making hella money,
Sure.
they're not gonna give it up at that point. But if it's already part of the roadmap, it's like baked into the token itself, and they've made it clear that they want the people that care most about this game to also have ownership share of the game, like Axie wants to do. Like, I trust those projects will eventually give more and more ownership to the players of the game because it's baked into the core of the project itself.
Yeah, I was gonna say that. I think that's super important. There's a difference between having it there at the start where it's well thought out, thinking long term, and then like fumbling through it, like things are happening and things are changing. You don't know what to do, and you're trying to change, and then it changes things. And we've seen that with Axie Infinity here recently. With their change here with season 18, and they've cut rewards in half. They're trying to find some way to mitigate some of these problems. And this is what we expect though early on. But as the space matures, I think that we'll see more and more projects come out that have it already nailed down from the beginning because of projects like Axie Infinity who have paved the way. They threw it down and they did the hard work, man. They're laying that track down and being able to let other people learn from their mistakes. And so I think we'll see it as an iterative process, and it's hard when it comes down to game development because it's such a long development cycle. It's not like, art NFTs where it's like there could just be another one, every other day, and they've learned from the other one that was just unsuccessful 2 weeks ago. So I think that we'll get there, and you're right. I think I agree, Jake. It needs to be built in and thought about from the beginning. That's what makes me more confident. When I see a team fumbling around with something and they don't really know what they're doing and they're trying something, it's not working. I give them a little bit of credit because I understand that they're still working through this, and this is early in this industry. But we need to get past that if we're going to really survive and be successful.
Well, yeah. To add to that, Axie Infinity has said it many, many times. They're like, look, we're the ones being innovating, doing crazy stuff, right?
Yep.
And we need more people to start doing crazy stuff because we can't be the test pig, right? For
the test pig for sure.
I just said that, but I don't know if they said it like that, but they said it many times. Like, no, we need more people to start coming up with other things. And the reason I broke, for example, the Gala bot. Some people thought I broke this bot, right? It was an NFT, physical NFT. They give you a 1-to-1, a physical NFT and one on the platform. The reason I broke it is to make a statement that is mine. And I do what I want with it.
Yes.
Right? But I kept the one that matters. The one that you could use in the game.
Yep, the
so
digital
people got mad about it, whatever, this and that. But the reality is that it was a statement to say digital NFTs are more important than the physical one.
Physical rug pull.
The physical one doesn't matter. I wasn't gonna use that for anything. I was just gonna have it there, just standing there. So yeah, man, I see games, shifting the way they look at things over time, little by little. We're in a new space.
And you have to be careful how you approach that too as a development company, because when you start doing things that scare your gamer base, player bases, they'll get rattled and they'll start pulling out their investment.
Yeah, revolt.
Stash was just talking about it a second ago. As you're starting to see things fall apart or things that you don't like, you start reducing your position, and a lot of people feel like you. And now all of a sudden, the token health is not what it used to be, and you become more reactionary, and it can be a very, very downward spiral.
Yeah.
So there's a lot to think about when it comes down to that stuff.
And that's a big thing in NFT type games, because if I felt that way again about World of Warcraft, not much I can do. I can't be like, hey, give me my money back. I've been playing for 10 years now.
You're not going to get my subscription this month.
Right, you can do subscription. Yeah, exactly. But in general, you really can't move a position out of investment, but with these NFT games, you really can. So that's a pretty big thing they have to think of. So these things there's so much long-term implication. So the decentralized aspect of it, it is, I think, something that is novel and is important to this industry, but it needs to be very well thought out. And I think we just have not gotten to like the bulletproof, here's how it goes. Like this for sure we know works in the long term.
Right.
Yeah.
If Blizzard let just somehow integrated a blockchain and just let everyone have all their assets, wouldn't we all be rich? It'd be like that, right? We'd all have $1 million on courtesy of Blizzard. But yeah, no. Speaking of maybe some old school games, moving on to our next topic here, we got some recent news from Atari, which is kind of interesting. I wanted to share with you guys. They actually revealed that they're going to be unveiling an online casino designed around their, some iconic Atari games. Maybe we'll see Space Invaders, Adventure, Missile Command, something like that. The classics, right? But they're going to have a casino twist on them. So it's going to be built in Decentraland. and they're going to have Atari's going to have their own casino where you're going to be able to like play twisted kind of Space Invaders type games or Atari games. Where you'll be able to win based on luck, Decentraland, mana, and Atari's token as well. And some of you guys know they recently launched a bunch of projects on Wax and have been deeply involved in the NFT and blockchain community for some time now. I kind of had some thoughts about that and was just thinking, like, do you think that, like, the gamification of this and bringing casinos on and making all this stuff kind of seem like a big game, like, do you think that's going to kind of attract regulators into the space eventually, like having all the monetary implication and have it be a big game?
The word casino scares the hell out of me. Like, when you put gambling on something like that, it turns into a big boys game now all of a sudden. Like, we're all into crypto and we're all investing in stuff like that. But I think the word casino and gamble, they're kind of going. I avoid titles like that specifically. And I'm an Atari fan. This is coming from somebody that has some Atari NFTs on Wax. I owned the console a long time ago. I still have games that I play every once in a while on stream. I love Atari. Pitfall, one of my favorite games, Combat, Pac-Man, Space Invaders, all of those. First of all, I'm not really huge on a lot of these retro type arcade style games that are getting into crypto. Not to say that I think we've moved on. There is
people being lazy. They don't want to develop.
Yeah, exactly. Like we have. I mean, you can take $100 of assets out of the Unreal store and make something that looks incredible in the Unreal Engine. So
I have my both sides. Both, I'm with Jake, and but go.
I love the idea of retro gaming and classic gaming and stuff like that, but getting to the point to where you're just tokenizing stuff that is literally just like reused tech, outside of some old favorites, I just don't see playing Pitfall for Bitcoin. I just don't.
Yeah, I agree. I don't like traditional games coming in here and kind of like bringing their stuff here.
Well, like, and then not even creating anything new for it. It's just like, exactly. We're just going to take our old thing and like, hey, it's new now because it's on the blockchain.
No, and to what you said, the people that are being lazy, that are doing something new, sometimes they're not being lazy. It's that they don't have the funding. These are new IPs that are coming out. Like I see like something like, I just bought Bulls on the Block. I mean, I see that maybe becoming a character for many, many games in the future. And they're already going to get integrated with Galaxy, this new Galaxy Fight Club is going to be integrated there. CryptoPunks is going to be there inside that game as well. The Cool Cats is going to be there as a character. So these games are just starting. They're not being lazy. A lot of them are not being lazy. They're just starting. They didn't have the money before. Now they do. So, but some of them are being lazy as hell. They're just uploading some image, make millions of dollars, and they're out, right? But you gotta be able to, to sense that which ones really do want this for the long term. I see in the future, in 3 years, 4 years, you see somebody walking around instead of a Nintendo shirt, a Bulls shirt, an Axie shirt, right? A CryptoPunk shirt, and people will know it will be part of culture. So I don't know.
Well, yeah, and I think it's going to be what we're going to see too in a couple years. Like, I think right now, especially, there's a lot of hype, right? There's a lot. This is a new thing. We're kind of in the middle of a bull run, and I think the blockchain and NFT gaming community is going to continue to grow, right, over time, consistently. But there's going to be some ebbs and flows, and I think some of those projects you just brought up and all the utility you mentioned, we're really going to see who delivers on their promises come a year from now, a year and a half, 2 years, because I think, like you said, we're seeing a lot of stuff pop up right now that all has kind of similar traits and maybe smells a little bit lazy and isn't that innovative.
Well, I'll say, like, beyond the lazy aspect, which you guys kind of touched on, I think one of the biggest things here that you guys didn't really get into is the fact that how do you combine a real true gambling aspect, the G word, horrible G word, with a younger audience, right? How does a younger audience fit in there, right? And like, where is that line of, is this gambling? And we've seen that happen here, even just in traditional gaming, where they've talked about, well, are loot boxes technically gambling? because you're putting money into it. You don't know what you're getting. Kids are, they get addicted to this kind of thing, and so that's like, people would say that's borderline. But then you see things like skin gambling, where they're literally saying, okay, well, I bet this skin on this next match, and it's like legit gambling. So where is that line when it comes to something decentralized like that, where any kid could just load up a profile and they could be in there, they could be spending crypto, and because crypto is not necessarily considered a currency, maybe it kind of gets around those things, but that's still an issue we have to take in consideration with all these blockchain games, whether they're a shitty version of Asteroids that adds add some rewards in Atari token, or if it's a AAA Unreal Engine game where you're also earning in that game too. And so where is that line of gambling? Where do you guys think that line is at?
I don't think there's any line. It's just, it comes down to the parents. You got 12-year-old kids, 9-year-old playing Call of Duty. The parent is letting them. That's shooting.
Right. I know people shoot people in the head, kill shots.
So you could say the same thing. You could say the same thing. Like, where's that line? No, there is no line. If the line is up to the parent, and unfortunately, if the parent is not paying attention, if they don't want to control that, then the kid might just go into a gambling addiction or a shooting people addiction online, and they're aggressive.
Yeah.
Aggressive.
What if the parents are actually utilizing them too? Think about it, Cagy. If you were my son, and I knew you were good at a game, and you can make money with it, dude. Yeah, or you can make $100 a day playing Axie Infinity. Go get him, son of a gun, bro. Get him.
Homeschool and slap on the blockchain games. Homeschooled in the metaverse.
Homeschooled in the metaverse. I like that. Yeah.
I think, guys, the core issue with casino in my mind is that casinos never pay out as much as goes in. So it's a losing game. Anytime you're in a casino, you are guaranteed to lose.
House wins.
The house always wins. It doesn't, even if they pay
the
out
house
a high
doesn't always
percentage,
win, but they have a good advantage.
Out 90%
over time.
It's like 10% of whatever you put in, you're never going to get back.
Statistically,
that's the problem. That's the problem.
But this is different. We get something here. When you that's the thing with skins, that when you buy skins, you're always getting something in return, no matter what. Even if it's a common skin, you can still use it. So I don't, it's gambling, but it's like it's not.
If you're buying something, it's different. If you're buying something, it's different. And like if you're making a play, like because of the rarity, because of the popularity increase, I think it's going to happen. Like long term, I think this is going to appreciate in value. That's not gambling. That's not just like putting your money in a slot machine and like rolling it, and it's like 9 out of 10 times I might get my money back out.
Well, and that's where they get around that kind of element of gaming, I think, is they say, oh, well, it's not like you're just playing a slot machine. You actually have to play a game. Maybe there's some skill involved, so it's a game of skill, not just a game of chance. And I think that's where a lot of the line is drawn right there. Is it a game of just pure chance and like it's a roll of the dice, or is it actual? Is there any skill involved? And maybe that's where the line of like gambling versus it just being like,
and
okay,
what value is there?
Skill's involved in poker too.
Yeah, well, I know
it's a game of skill.
Well, it's true, but there's a lot of chance involved too. But you're right; it's a combination of both. So that line is so blurry. You're right. Like, and so I guess when it comes down to like, well, how is it okay for younger kids, and is that going to be a big problem? I mean, it already kind of is in just mainstream gaming. So I don't know that crypto really furthers it that much. It does give you a little bit more advantage in being able to see all the transactions that maybe your kid did, like all the like, whoa, what kind of skins you been gambling with today? Those are my skins, kid. What are you doing with my skins? Gambling, and you can see it all right there. Maybe that's helpful. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. The fact that Atari's big plan for blockchain gaming is to take their same old games and then turn it into a casino kind of makes me not very bullish on Atari.
So I think this is just a start for Atari. I agree with you, Jake. I agree. From the beginning, when I saw Atari, I was like, fuck that, dude. Fuck that.
Yeah,
but I didn't discard the chance of them actually coming back and being the top dogs in the gaming industry. Right now, they're just kind of like using whatever they have, recycle. And it's okay, little by little, and then they'll make a big move, right? An important move. And they could make a move that it could blow your mind. But
I think there's innovative ways.
I'm not really bullish.
You're right. You're right. There should be innovative ways. And you know what they have? Kind of a lot of people just slept on it. They don't even realize they launched a brand new console last year, the Atari VCS, and it didn't get any like big name reviews.
What can you play on it?
Well, right, and that's the problem. So the reason why is because they launched it a little too early. That's the problem. I bought one. Okay, because I wanted to demo it. But here's the thing that it does that a lot of people just did not realize, and it's a little ahead of the game. It's a blockchain enabled console. So so when it comes down to like these blockchain based games, it will natively be able to play these things. So now, right now, like when it launched, there wasn't a lot going on, but you'll be able to play the sandbox on there with everything native, be able to use crypto, do all these things, and then it's kind of a hybrid thing where you can upgrade it like a PC, but it plays like a console. So
does the console act like a wallet, or like can you use MetaMask in there? Or how, like,
yeah, so exactly, it's fully PC enabled. So you could literally use your MetaMask in there. You could do whatever you could do on a PC. You'll be able to do that in a similar manner. So I think that there is a lot that they did there. The timing was not the best. They really needed to have a killer app or a killer game ready to go, and they just didn't. You know, if the sandbox was ready when they launched it, they would have something a little bit better there. And I think people would be more interested in it, because think about all the people that want to play sandbox. You have this console. It makes it easy. It's fun. It's a hybrid. It allows you to do those things. And that crossover is there. But I think they just, the timing on it was crap. So I do think that they will have some innovation there. And I think that they're ahead of the game when it comes to blockchain. But you're right. They need to stay ahead of the game and do something that actually is going to make sense.
Yeah, they just need to make actual fun games. I mean, when they reached the initial Atari collection, it was game-changing stuff. Like it was super fun. It was games we'd never seen before. It was like groundbreaking. Even graphically, it was groundbreaking. It's hard to see it now, but it's like now they're not doing anything groundbreaking at all. It's like, let's take the original games that were made, and they're still relying on the initial IP. How many years has it been? Decades. It's been decades. Yeah. Make something new. Yeah. Make something new.
Look, it's funny you bring that up, too, Jake.
Tell him, boy.
It's funny you bring that up, Jake, because like Atari is the one adopting this technology.
One of their successful projects and kept it going, like Mario. Everybody knows Mario and Zelda.
New Mario games, like Mario 3D and stuff. Like they kept up, like, how do we change this? How do we make this bigger, better than it ever was? How do we add new game dynamics? How do we bring a new like fun aspect? Like Mario, like on the 64, like dude, their Mario games started getting better and better and better. Atari, they want to give us the same game.
Augmented reality Pitfall. You just swing across real life ponds with alligators in them. Come down to Louisiana.
I'm down. Let's do it. You guys all want to go? I'll book us all a trip. We're gonna fly down there. We're gonna do real life Pitfall, and we'll film the whole thing, and it'll be we'll put it on the blockchain, make it NFTs.
Man, it's just funny that Atari is the one like really diving in headfirst to adopt this technology. Like, what is Microsoft doing? You know what I mean? Like, what is PlayStation doing? Like, why are they like? You know what I mean? Like, they could be doing so much more. And imagine having like your console, your next gen console, like integrated on the blockchain.
But they have a system.
I mean, that's the future. You know,
they have a system that's already earning them revenue, and Atari doesn't.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So Atari's like, I mean, I do it with my channel. Like when videos ain't working good, I just start grasping at straws. Like, let's just make a video about this shit over here and see what happens. You know? And I mean, honestly, PlayStation ain't got to worry about blockchain right now because they have the #1 selling console in the world, you know, and a bunch of titles and companies and all sorts of investments and a bunch of capital to play with. So
they'll worry eventually. They'll worry eventually.
It is a risk. It is a risk when your current business model that you're making all your money from is getting innovated kind of into extinction. Mm-hmm. Like, and we're seeing it with autos, like gas car makers. They don't want to stop making what they're making their profit off of. So yeah, maybe Atari can get ahead of the curve here because they are struggling, and that struggling is what causes you to look for the next thing. How do we get ahead of the curve? So yeah, maybe Atari could have an advantage over PlayStation if they actually make a new game.
Jake, you compare with the cars. I agree with you, but the thing is that the car is actually better for the user. Blockchain is not better for the user yet. That's the problem. That is where the problem lies. You don't bring 100 million players from Call of Duty into MetaMask.
Right, but it is, but it will be, right? The underlying technology, but it's just the user layer of that technology is not better. And I 100% agree with you. And but we're quickly, rapidly developing that, and it's getting better and better every year. I mean, even just like 3 years ago when I started talking about blockchain games and no one gave a shit, it was even harder to use them.
Shit. I watched.
I had no idea. I didn't give a shit.
What? I watched you.
I learned about this year. You're so ahead of the curve, Crypto Stash. You're so ahead of the curve.
Mustache love, guys. But yeah, I mean, but that's what I'm saying. We're innovating very quickly, and the space is moving very quickly. So I see that becoming, you know, a very viable avenue in the very short term future. So.
Right.
Well, yeah, I mean, talking about all the new games coming out, man, I think that gives us a good segue to our next topic here. What is a winning NFT game recipe? So we've seen a ton of blockchain games pop up, and we've seen them kind of incorporate a lot of similar elements. We've seen basically everyone at one point incorporate DeFi into their platform at some point. Like even the new kind of games coming out are incorporating maybe their own tokenized asset that is an in-game currency and also an ERC20, maybe another governance asset. And like maybe even in-game DeFi mechanisms to kind of make it better. Like for example, in Mist, I know they're doing this thing where like in the virtual world, your actual farms where you're staking are plants on your little area, and you watch them grow over time as if you were the farmer. You watch your crops, and you get your yield. But like we were talking about a minute ago, a lot of this kind of seems somewhat lazy and not innovative in the sense that maybe we're kind of taking one thing and just copy and pasting it all across the industry. What do you guys think kind of makes for a winning NFT game? Like what kind of factors into that?
The gameplay. In the end, it's the gameplay. It's the projects that are trying to rush out something before the bull market ends are going to not be here after the bear market. And the projects that are actually trying to make compelling games that people are going to want to spend their time in. Like if you make a metaverse that I want to spend 3-4 hours a day in every day, like those are the games that are going to be here 10 years from now. Those are the games that are going to have the biggest NFT appreciation. The games in the worlds that you actually want to spend your time in. And there's so many of these projects. I was like, I would never play this. Like I would never play this. Even if I still don't want to play it when I can earn money playing it, it's not going to make it.
Right.
I agree with that.
Wait, so I think a lot of people play the game so consistently today just because of the monetary aspect of it. Like, do you think when are we going to get to a point where it becomes more important for the game itself than the monetary reward?
Fun. You get to outthink your opponents. It's like you can see all their cards, they see all your cards, and it's just a mind game. It's a mind game, exactly. And it is it's intensive, especially at high levels. It's nerve-wracking. And like there's people who would play Axie if you didn't earn anything.
Absolutely.
It wouldn't
have as many players, though, man.
It wouldn't have as many players.
There are people playing it, but if you could not play and earn that game, I mean, over 60% of their players are Philippines-based, and they're doing it because they can earn more money than they can in a regular job, which makes total sense, and I love that aspect.
I agree. That's cool too, and they end up liking it too.
Right? Yeah. I mean, well, right, sure, of course,
But I agree with Stash. They don't initially go into it because there's not 1 million people that love card games. Card games are a niche within the traditional market.
It's true.
There's no way that now because of blockchain, now everybody likes card games. No, it's because there's an incentive. So it's a game of incentives versus how fun it is. It's a balance between those two. But I think fun and a little bit less incentives will win over time, like Jake said. Like fun, absolute fun will probably win over time versus a game that gives you more, but it's less fun.
Yeah,
exactly. You said it too, Cagy. I mean, those card games are niche. Like the most successful card game in the world right now is probably Magic the Gathering, maybe Hearthstone. Both of those categories on live content like Twitch, they're not performing like bigger titles. Like GTA is still bigger than them. It will always be. League of Legends is always bigger than them. And they have esports attached to them too, which makes big crowds. There's big tournaments with big prizes. There's rare cards from back in the day that are worth thousands and thousands of bucks. Like they have all the winning things. It's still this niche though. It's a card game.
Yeah. I mean, I think for, a real winning recipe for an NFT game, what we've seen works well is, it needs to be fun. Obviously, that's the number one of any game. But having really good incentives that make sense in a long-term way is huge. And that's one of the big aspects that crypto brings. But also some of the things we've seen that have been very successful is, having assets that are speculative, right? So you look at all these virtual land games, and I mean, think about having a VR world with virtual land where it's super interactive VR, when VR is this, amazing, Ready Player One tech, not the bulky kind of giant headset on your face tech. I mean, that right there is going to be a winning combination where you're actually in this VR world all the time because you can earn so much just like you would, and you're doing real actual jobs. Yeah.
Jake, quit looking at my hate.
Okay, don't.
All right. Come on, man. I'm gonna get out of this.
We're also
All right, you get in the stream inside the stream.
I think
inside the stream on the Oculus Rift
on land and stuff is because like at first people were like NFTs, they're rare, there's not very many of them, and then it started getting much easier to create NFTs when like you could mint them on OpenSea, you could mint them on like all these different blockchains and stuff. So people started to realize, okay, maybe NFTs aren't actually that rare now, even though they're still unique. So they're like, land is the rare thing, but people are going to soon realize, guess what? You can have an infinite number of companies that create land for their game, and land is not going to be that unique either. When it comes down to it, the thing that's going to matter, within the game, the thing that's going to matter is how fun the game is and how many players want to spend time in that game, because that is what's going to make land valuable when there's millions of people that are in that game that has that land. And it's still the community and the gameplay that's the most important thing.
Well, but you also got to think about when all these games are connected, then is it really going to make much of a difference? So you got to think about that fully connected metaverse. So yeah, you've bought land in this one game, and maybe it's not the most popular land, but that's your home base, and you love what's going on there. And then, but you can easily and fluidly go from other land metaverse to other land metaverse and do things across all those things. So like. The fact that maybe it's not the most popular, most fun, it vibes with you, and that gives it value, and I think in the long term too.
I think what Jake is getting at here, which I agree, and I agree with you, Stash. It's going to be all interconnected. Some of them are not going to be interconnected like Axie. They already decided that it's going to be a vertical metaverse within their own thing. So you're going to take your Axies to different games within the Axie universe, just like, Pokemon has thousands of, Pokemon games, and Mario has many Marios, right? So you imagine taking your Mario, whatever. But to Jake's point is that you should pay for land that is worth what it's supposed to be worth. So if it's a smaller community, like why are we paying 10 ETH?
Right? Well, that's true.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, for sure.
So you're paying 10 ETH. I'm not paying 10 ETH.
You get what I'm saying? Like, I would never pay in Decentraland that amount of money. It just doesn't have the user base. It doesn't have the quality. It doesn't have many things. The idea is worth maybe 10 ETH, 20 ETH for land, but not the actual execution of it for me to buy a 20 ETH land. No fucking way. So yeah, I agree with Jake in that sense. Like, you got to be careful. Like, how much you're paying, how much value you're getting.
You're right, and that's what I'm saying. And that's what I kind of just meant about, having a value when there is that connection to other games. You'll be able to move it. And whereas right now, that is not a popular thing for games to think about. Axie doesn't want to do it. But, it's what the users will want eventually. They've seen that idea. They've seen it in the movies. They've read the books. They understand that is really what we want as a gamer. And that's what I wanted as a gamer. Yeah, man, I want to be able to do all these things and just be all interconnected and fluid and work together and be amazing and have my avatar with all the things. And, that is something that, gamers will push for. And we'll see that happening. So, and you see that anytime something new that really truly it changes the gameplay in games in general, then you start to see everyone jump on board with that, And I think that we'll see that happening, and it'll be a hard transition because that's a really hard technology to master. And I think it will end up being a kind of one ring thing where like we saw in Ready Player One, it's essentially the Oasis, and it was a creation of one company, but then it becomes this thing where the opportunity cost of not being a part of it is so much greater because no one else wants to be anywhere else.
True. Yeah.
What's going to happen is a game like Mirandus is going to blow up, and maybe it's not Mirandus, maybe it's a different one, but a game like that, a massive multiplayer online role-playing game. It's just going to get so many tens of millions of players that people are going to want to like how can my game become a part of your metaverse?
Right, exactly.
And it's going to have to be some major player coming up as the clear leader that then everyone else wants to grovel to and connect to that metaverse.
Grovel, please let me in your game.
Well, it's going to take a long time, man, before we get there too, because just think about all the different blockchains these games are built on, and all the different kind of governance models and tokenomics that exist within these different metaverses. Like, how in the world is that one, like you're saying, Jake, that one sort of light amongst everyone going to bring all this stuff together and merge it so that it works, right?
That's the sandbox right now for sure. They're ahead of the game.
Yeah, they've done a great job of incorporating a bunch of brands.
To be honest, I used to not like the idea that there's so many companies because you're gonna have ones that are really, really good, and then you got this land that is a piece of shit next to you that hasn't built anything.
It's a dump,
right?
literally.
Yeah, so I don't want that to be the case.
Subprime mortgages for that stuff, man.
Sandbox has been forging relationships left and fucking right. So I take my hat off to them. At the beginning, I didn't like it, but I'm keeping my land. It's next to Atari, and it's a little.
And hopefully they innovate and do something cool.
Yeah.
I also have land next to Atari too. I'm hoping. I should.
But are we? I think we might be running out of time here. So I got one last quick lightning round question for you guys. What is the game that you've spent the most time that you think in your life playing? So if you had to count up all the hours that you've played games, which game has taken the most time away from your life?
Zueljin, go.
Minecraft.
Call of Duty.
League of Legends, easy, hands down.
League of Legends. All right, wait, hold on. What's your summoner? What lane?
I play mid and bot mostly.
Okay, all right.
But yeah,
Run down mid.
I played. I had like 4 or 5 seasons where I was like high diamonds, and it was like I was no lifing it.
All right. What about you, Cagyjan?
I tried to become a professional player. I did have a salary for a little bit playing League, but we failed to make it to the LCS, and then we lost our sponsors, and that was the end of League for me.
Damn. At least you tried it. That's important.
Yeah. I've been striving to play video games for a living since I was 14 and started making my first Call of Duty videos on YouTube. It's like I want to do what I want and make money doing it.
You're such a nerd, dude.
Helen.
I mean, honestly, at the core of us in crypto, like that's what most of us want anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love watching League too. LCS is great. I'll watch it on the weekends.
Stash, what about you, man? You probably have like a repertoire of games that you love. And Zueljin too. But
I do, man. And I'll
say you guys are old. Right?
I will tell you, man. The game that I've spent. It's probably a toss up between 2 games. So either it was the original Ultima Online, or it was one of the ones I was playing, which is like the spiritual successor to that game, which is called Shroud of the Avatar. Dude, I probably spent 7,000 hours in that game recently. Shroud of the Avatar, dude. I mean, it's one of those sandbox RPG games that no one's heard of, right? But it's got this crazy small cult following, and like
I played it.
Yeah,
Online.
I used to hang out with Lord British, aka Richard Garriott, who is an amazing innovator in the space, and he's done tons of things. Creator of some of these early amazing games, Ultima games, right? And so I mean, Ultima Online or probably Shroud of the Avatar, the ones I spent the most in for sure, thousands of hours.
I played UO 15 years on and off.
Yeah,
so
that's great. Yeah. Yep, and
when I started creating.
And see, that's one of those things we talked about where it's, it's the gameplay, man. The graphics sucked after a while, and there's lots better options, but the gameplay and the community kept people coming back. So,
yeah.
So community matters a lot.
Mm-hmm. It's true. It's true.
Yep.
All right, yeah. That's the one takeaway for the end of the show. If there's anything that matters, it's community. Yeah. But so don't forget to go ahead and check out all of our guests' content linked in the description below. And don't forget to go ahead and subscribe and come back every Monday for Around the Metaverse. We're going to be doing this and, going over all the recent news and giving you guys everything you need to know to make your way around the Metaverse.
That's it. We out. Take it easy, guys.
Peace. Jake, you tried, bro.